Yo, yo, yo. My mic was muted. Hopefully now you can hear me. Sorry about that. I have been talking this entire time. Good to know. Thanks, Weeloo48. Okay, so what I was saying, I'm trying to get this, okay, yeah. We'll just go back a step and I'll talk through this again. For my own benefit as well as yours. So if I don't add... So right now I'm just getting back the batch. And the problem is I want the batch and the recipe. If I add include recipes here on the client end, it adds the recipe, no problem. So there's the link is working, but we don't want the client to have to add the recipe every time. So what we want is for the back end to just be able to serve. It needs to know, hey, I'm getting a batch, I need to also return a recipe. The problem is, I'm doing what the docs say I should be doing, I think. I mean, I tried this, I thought that was going to do it. Include the recipe. That did not do it. Maybe it's because it wasn't camel case, but I thought the doc said not to camel case it. Yeah, see there, the recipe's gone. And this is also apparently not working. This other method of containing, which is kind of annoying and weird because I'm doing, again, what the docs say. So here's inclusion, associated data. The listener will detect associated data as produced by contain and will automatically render those associations. But what I was saying is these docs don't make a whole lot of sense because view action, it says, let's take a look at the following example code for the view action of a country model. But a view action is a controller thing, and a model is a model thing. So I'm not sure if this meant on the controller end. Probably this looks like controller code. But they could also have defined a view function on the model. I looked for that, I didn't find it. So I guess I can just dig farther into the plugin code here. I mean, it didn't look terribly complicated. So render with resources. Setting include, only generate the included node. Let's see if we're ending up in here. What's up, Trav? Morning. Or in here. Hopefully one of those two. Yeah, so we're ended up in here, and it's saying get include list with the used associations. So let's see what that is. I can type. Nothing. Okay, so why is that empty? Get contained associations. For each contains. Do we have any contains getting into here? Nope. So subject query get contain. Thread on event subject query contain before find. Is it calling this correctly? No, so that's not even getting called. That's our problem. This before find is not getting hit. The CRUD on before find. Does it need to be before index? Or, I mean, I feel like before find would be called for view and an index. Oh, that's a lot of befores and not quite the... Okay, so here we go. Interesting. So we know we're getting into this function. Because we'll get this. Hey, yo. But we're not getting this. 2 question marks, which we should be. Unless... Nope. Yeah, nothing. Okay, so let's go back into here. Include. This is really what we want. But really, I mean, I just want this one to work. This is the simplest one. Listeners, JSON API, include, config, CRUD. CRUD config. I mean, I guess the other way is I could just load. I mean, it's the dirty, hacky way. That's not the way I would want to do it. But a way I could get it done is just load the recipe right here. But then, if I need the recipe in any other virtual properties, which I probably will, that won't be a good method. Alright, well, I might have to dig into that. Maybe we'll come back to that. For now, I guess to get it to work, I can just have the batches page include the recipes, because we know that works. It's a workaround. It's not great, I'm not happy about it, but we'll do it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and make an issue to track this so I don't forget that we want to remove client-side include, I don't know why I'm putting that in quotes, of recipe on batches list. So if I open up that batches page, where is it? Be right, batch list. So here's our batch list. I am working on this, the my little homebrew tracking software. Right now I'm just trying to get the batch name to render correctly, because this should say batch of hazy IPA, but right now it says unknown batch. So I'm just trying to get that working, and it shouldn't be hard. I think all I have to do is this. Or this. Oh wait, I still have some. Yeah, let me fix this. So right here, hazy IPA, that's what we want. Boom. All right, we got a batch of hazy IPA. So now that should continue working in theory. So if I go back to recipes and say, let's make a lager. Now I got 2 recipes, and I go back to my batches, and I make a new batch. Okay, so this is the next thing I should add then, is being able to select the batch. Being able to select the recipe here on the batch add form. I should be able, I'm going to have to do it in the database, and I'll show you how it links up. But it'd be nice if I could just say, drop down here, lager or hazy. So that'll be maybe the next thing we do. So I don't know why it even has a batch name, because this doesn't do anything. I'll just enter something. Oh, okay. Unknown batch. That's interesting. It broke the other one. So let's see what came down over the pipe here. Or I guess we'll just resubmit this. So now we have, I mean, this one should still be hazy. I wonder if that's just a render bug. Let's give it a reload. Yep, okay, so hazy and an unknown. So, if we go back to our recipes table, here let's grab this lager ID, go over to the batches, and drop this in to the batch that doesn't have a recipe. So now both batches are linked to each recipe. We reload, there's our lager recipe, there's our hazy IPA. So these are batches of a certain recipe. So, you know, if I add another one and reload, it'll say unknown lager hazy. And then if I go in here and obviously plug in the same idea we just did into the new batch, then reload, then it'll be lager hazy. So we have 2 batches of lager going and 1 hazy IPA. So let's head back to the fermenters table and try and fix this error that I introduced last night and was too lazy to fix at the time. Item.batch is undefined. So this is, we have multiple fermenters. I'll go ahead and delete the ones that have been deleted just for clarity. So these are our 2 fermenters, but only one of them has a batch, right? So the problem is over here, it's trying to load item.batch.attributes, but there is no batch on one of the fermenters, so it throws up. So let's go to the fermenter list, try and get it to stop vomiting its eyes out. I think I can do a quick ternary here, yeah, like that. So we can say item.batch, yes. Then do that. Otherwise, do that. And that might be backwards. I really can never remember which way ternaries go. Oh, nice. Okay, that was it. So what that quick little ternary is, if you're not familiar with that, this is basically just a quick if-else statement. It says, if item.batch exists, then do this. Else, output that question mark. We probably don't want just a question mark. We'll just say empty. That makes, because if there's no batch in it, it's empty, right? Boom. So we can actually see here, it's pretty cool. It's hard to tell with just this. We need to actually display some numbers or maybe put a mouse over on it so that we can actually see the data. But this is this full because that batch is 2 gallons in a 5-gallon fermenter. So if I edit this, or 6 gallons, so here's the 6 gallons. And then if we look at the batch, it's 2 gallons. So if I make it 5 gallons and save it. Reload this, it will fill that up all the way to almost to the top. So this shows us how full each vessel actually is, which is pretty cool. Now we just need a way to actually... Well, what was the last thing I said I was going to do? Okay, yeah. Well, okay. We want to be able to select recipe per batch, but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and make it so we can set batch size right in here. I'm not sure we can do that. Let's see. No, we can't. So we're going to add a batch size edit field to that batch item. So we just go down here into the batch list. Here's our batch form. It's got a name, which again doesn't even make sense. So we'll just say size. Oh, sorry. I thought I had that muted. Okay, there we go. Still figuring this broadcast software out. So we're going to change this size, or is it? It's called size, right? Let's make sure. Volume. That's, I mean, more technical. I'm not going to deal with units yet. Gallons versus liters. We'll do that when we get to it. Not today. Okay, so that should give us a volume editing field. So this one is the only one I think that has a volume. There we go, 8 or 5. Nice. So we can edit these now right here. So let's say this one's a 2 gallon and this one's a 4 gallon. It'll be nice to get a display on this page too, but as with all these things, we'll get there. So here, this keg is empty, but if I we look at our fermenters, they have a batch ID. So I'm going to grab one of these batches, the lager batch, I guess, one of them, and throw it here. So you might be asking right now, why not just make it so you can do that on the front end? I'm specifically not going to do this because this is going to be handled by our batch workflow process, which I'll get to soon. Just trying to get the basics working here for now. So if I reload this now that that's associated, boom, there's 2 batches, but they're both saying unknown batch still. Because, again, this is why I didn't want the client to be responsible for passing the request to include the recipes, because now that we're trying to load fermenters, the fermenters include the batches. Right, you can see our batches come through with unknown batch because there's no recipe. So I wonder if I think I can do batches.recipes. And then there we go. So now if I go back over here to my fermenter list, go up to the top, I want to add batches.recipes. Now when this renders, it should show me one's a lager, one's a... Let's see if it actually made it back. Fermenters, response. We got a batch. No, it doesn't look like that was it. But I'm not sure that this is the right way to do this. It might be more like this. Let's just see what it sent the params. Nope, didn't like that. How about that? And 9 viewers. Morning, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. If you're just getting here, we're working on Mashio, my open source homebrew tracking software. Just trying to get the front end and the back end talking to each other nice and well. But there's a problem right now with our inclusions. And see, if the back end, if I figured out how to have the back end include the recipes. So I guess this actually will fix, when I come back and fix this bug, it'll fix us not seeing the batch here. So that's fine, I'm gonna leave it for now. Let's check out oh yeah, I wanted to be able to make a recipe attached to a certain style. That was the next thing. So yeah, so this should have a style drop down. So I don't think I've done this yet. I've done these other drop downs you saw at the fermenters page. And actually, before I get into this next thing, I'm gonna go ahead and just commit this because we got some good bugs fixed. Well, I'm not gonna commit the controller because that's not working how we want it yet. I'm not gonna commit. Well, I will commit that the entity batch list. This line doesn't work, but okay, I'll go ahead and just revert that. Revert. Okay. So I'm gonna commit the entity and then the front end fermenter rendering fixes. All right, and as you might have read, the code is available. So if you guys are playing along at home, you can pull down my latest changes. See what I did. I mean, you can see what I did right here, but you can pull it down and play with it. I think I actually didn't save that, so that part committed, but whatever, not the end of the world. Okay, so right, so what I was showing is in the fermenter, if I edit a fermenter, I have a drop down here between my enums. So I don't think it'd be too hard to make a drop down for a model, but it's a bit of a different. I mean, as far as the front end is concerned, it should be about the same. So let's give it a shot. So if we edit this, so we want a drop down right here. So I'll go ahead and make a drop down there for recipe type. So here's our volume. So right after the volume, or maybe before, or actually no, so we want the recipe list now. Recipe name. Right. So we want a style drop down. Okay, so we'll go to the fermenter list and grab the drop down example. They have some selects. Yep, right here. So we're going to do the same thing. For style, the beer style of the recipe. Oh, thanks for the follow, Mr. Schnobel. This is pretty much my second scheduled broadcast. I'm gonna try and do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 to 9. So I got about 18 minutes left this morning, and I'll be back on Monday. But I hop in on the nights and weekends occasionally too, so if you give me a follow, You never know when you might catch me doing some work. And, you know, happy to talk about, answer some questions if you have them on the code or on beer or brewing, whatever. Okay, so we just need to make sure we have styles set. So if we go back here and look, here it's creating the list of select options, which we'll need to do. So this isn't going to come back on an enum. We're just going to need to make a I guess we can just do make a separate HTTP request. So in case you're wondering the different recipes versus styles, we'll just talk about beer for a second. The styles are the BJCP, Beer Judge Certification Program styles. So all the different things you'd know, Czech lager, IPA, all the different types of IPA. And these numbers, I actually have a bunch of them filled out on my laptop. I need to get them over to my desktop here. This is going to be programming, or am I going to throw some Ableton in? This will be just programming. I still have the Mr. Gangsterish channel, which I'm probably going to start reviving here soon and doing some Ableton work over there. But yeah, any of the music stuff will be on Mr. Gangsterish. I was actually thinking about live streaming my set this weekend from Eldora, but I don't know if they have enough signal up there to get a stream out or not. But yeah, so this channel will just be programming, but Mr. Gangsterish on Twitch, for those of you not familiar, I'll throw a link in if you're curious. This is where you can find the music end of things. So I'm trying to get a recipe right now to be able to associate with these styles. I want a drop-down box where I can say, okay, it's either an American Light Lager, it's a cream ale, or it's an International Dark Amber, and it'll pull in these numbers, and then when I'm building my recipe, I can make sure I'm hitting these various numbers, my OG, FG, IBU, ABV. Well, I haven't been doing much lately, so it's not your fault so much as mine. So we probably just aired out there because the styles, I'm trying to pass it styles that are just don't exist. Yeah, select component. So I'll show you how I've done this in the past and then talk about how maybe we can make it better. So here is my recipe API. And this is the guy that is responsible for hitting the back end, returning the data for our recipes. So if we take a look at the batch API, or which one was it? Fermenters? Yeah, okay. So we're going to do it basically like we do the enums. So up here, so what this is saying is it's calling this calls the record index action for the batches controller, gets the batches back. So then the batches are in this response variable. So after this, I want to also get a list of, sorry, I'm doing this in the wrong place. We're not doing batches right now, we're doing recipes. So same place though here for the recipe API. I'm gonna get the recipes. I'm gonna call the same thing record index. I'm not sure if I want to pass the payload because that's like pagination stuff. So I think I just want to do that because I want all of the recipes, even though it's more than one page worth of recipes or styles. Styles. So then I can put the styles just on the return like that. So let's at least see if that works correctly. Reload. Oh. Okay. So I need to pass it pagination, which is it's fine. It's probably cleaner anyway. So I need to pass it this little chunk of pagination values, which is good because it'll let us define exactly how we get these results back anyway. So for the limit, we'll say, what, 1,000? There's not that many, but it'll get us all back anyway. And then this should be alphanumeric. So that should do it, hopefully. If I go back to the recipes page, boom. Wow. Okay. Nice. So there's our styles right there. Exactly what we wanted. So now if I go back to this, we want styles. This isn't going to be on the... Trying to figure out from here. Oh, it probably won't like me using styles. If it's already using styles. Okay, we'll call it beer styles. That's easy. But this will come from where? Where? This is for individual one. I wonder if I just let's try this. Okay, so nice. Okay, so I can just access recipe.styles. That's kind of what I was thinking, but wasn't sure. So I should be able to do recipe.styles. I mean, the semantics doesn't really make sense. This object shouldn't be called recipe because it's the response of the request for a group of recipes. So maybe I'll look at where that's being defined and see if we can give it a more fitting name. But that should be it. Styles.map is not a function. Okay, well, I mean, that's just like your opinion, man. Styles.data, right. Right. Okay, well, it rendered, so let's see what happens now. Oh! Explosion! So... Is an array, and then it's an array of objects, but see, then they have attributes, so that's what's messing it up. But it does have an ID. What is it expecting? An ID? Yeah, I can't map that. So we're gonna have to do like a different for loop through that. So this is just my unfamiliarity with React, really. But really, I mean, yeah, it's trying to map that, but that is an array. But then it's trying to just use, yeah, it's expecting an expecting array in it, like a format like this. That kind of thing. And we're giving it an object here, more like this, which it doesn't like as much. So we need to we can't map that, but we'll just do a for loop on it, I guess. I always get the one thing about switching back and forth between JS and PHP is I always forget my syntaxes, like. But either way, we're gonna have to make this more. If recipe styles, then can I just do this? Like how you do it in PHP. I don't think it likes that. What about in? The in method. Rusty with my JS. Alright, well, we'll get to that. That's what we'll do on Monday. If I don't get to it sooner, maybe a broadcast this weekend. Thanks for the follows and chatting it up. And yeah, I'm going to post this on YouTube probably as well. So if you missed anything and you want to go back, of course, I probably won't. Well, maybe I'll still post it. You could see what I'm doing, but my audio wasn't working for this first 20 minutes. So we'll get that going next time for sure. Oh, exceeded my maximum length. Gotta verify my account. Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna call it right here. This is a good stopping point. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in. See you on Monday. Have a good weekend.